So it is actually 6:01 on the computer clock. I think everybody is ready, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. It is again 6:01. The meeting is called to order, and Rachel, or you got roll call? And I'd say we have a full, I will mention with roll call, we have a full committee. Mike, you are officially been appointed, so congratulations. You are on as a full member. And Caitlin, you are our alternative, and I believe that's beneficial too, if I remember right. So congratulations. And I think I'll save it towards the end of the meeting for the interest of time, but I'd like everybody to think about once we get towards the end, just maybe a quick introduction and we can all get to know each other a little bit better. But on to the Pledge of Allegiance. And I guess, Mike, would you like the honor? Sure. Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. There's one in front of us, September 23rd, 2025.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jean, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Doug. Any conversation, adjustments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Appearances before the commission. Is there any?
I don't have any registered appearances for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay. There is one iPhone that is online. I guess if you do wish to speak, please raise your hand. I'm going to take that as a signal of not. And presentations and discussion is item number 5, and 5.1 is presentation and discussion on a concept plan for DeForest Yards Phase 2 and related development in Hooper Business Campus. I know we have the developer here. Mark, are you gonna kick it off, or?
Yeah, I'll kick it off and I'll ask Luke and Claudia to come up to the table if you want to, and we have your plans available to share as well. And I'll just start by framing this a little bit. Where we are in DeForest is in DeForest Yards. The proposal is for a new phase for the budding development. It would be at the north end along Highway 19 to the east of the clinic. And the additional proposals for developing part of the Hooper property just to the north on the north side of Highway 19. What I put in the packet was just sort of a framing relationship to the village's comprehensive plan and relationship to the Savannah Brooks final development plan, the PUD document. If assuming the successful concept presentation tonight, you can expect at upcoming meetings proposed site plan approval request for the component south of Highway 19 and Savannah Brooks to DeForest Yards. And then the project to the north would require rezoning plus plan approvals at a future date. So you're being asked to take a listen to a concept, offer any comments you may have at this point that can be considered as Luke and his team bring forward specifics at future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Luke, did you want to add, or should we pull up the concept on screen or anything?
Double tap. There we go. Yeah. Sorry about that. first off, forgive the appearance. Me and Mark met before this. He did not beat me up on site. Too many hockey pucks over a 20-year career that I finally had to, my wife didn't like that I didn't breathe, that she was worried about my health. So the timing of having to come here was not great. So I will probably not at my best performance, but we're going to wing it here, per usual. So, we introduced this a couple weeks ago to, was that city council? I get a little confused.
Village board.
Bill and Alex just tell me where to go. And then usually a couple hours before I ask them what I'm doing. So I asked that to Alex a couple hours ago. I said, what am I doing tonight? He said, you're talking about Hooperville. I go, okay, sounds good. So what you're seeing on the screen there is shortly after we began work on DeForest Yards, we obviously were excited about it and we're expecting it to be a successful development. We began talking to the Hooper folks about their tract of land that was identified as potential multifamily. And there were, like any development, a number of starts and stops and twists and turns in the process. But what's before you guys now here, 18 months later, is a concept for 4 parcels of the Hooper land to be multifamily, very similar to the first phase of DeForest Yards in concept, of course, different in architecture and feel to set them apart. And one of the lots adding a mixed use component, I believe that's lot 84. I know that the land to the south is set up for retail, so a connection with that mixed use building and the new retail. And as the development came together, there was the multifamily play, but there was also a new sports complex idea that I've been working on that has evolved over the last 7, 8, 9 months. And what we're working on is a 200,000 square foot indoor facility that would house essentially the size of 2 football fields. And we're looking at using the site in Savannah Brooks. It's about 10 acres, and the buildings would consist of about 5 acres and parking of 4. And if the screen was a little bit bigger, you kind of just see on the other side of Savannah Drive. Next time I come in, I'll give you guys a better kind of overall site. I think the biggest draw for us to this was really connecting DeForest Yards and making a second phase and some connectivity. But just south of Savannah Drive, you could see the northern part of phase 1. And what that parking lot will function as is a dual use parking lot for the new sports complex and the entertainment district that's currently being erected. One iteration a while ago had the sports complex on the Hooper side of the street. And for a number of different reasons, we ended up pulling it down to the Savannah Brooks neighborhood, which is, I think, a much far better use and creates a better dynamic for the overall development. It really ties everything in. Probably the best way I could do this is open it up for questions and get into it that way. So I'm open to questions from you guys and a little Q&A, and I can walk you through kind of other thoughts on the project.
Anybody questions at the time? Go ahead, Mike.
North of 19, where the apartments are proposed. As I read the information in the packet, it sort of appeared to me that the surrounding area may also go in that similar fashion over time. Or am I stating that?
This south of Peterson Crossing or west?
To the south and east.
I do not believe so. That I believe, and Mark can speak on this, or Alex, that is absolutely commercial. What was at least relayed to me, I'm hoping that it is, because
You're going on the right track.
yeah, no, my understanding is these are the last multifamily pieces in this, I don't know what you call it, subdevelopment, neighborhood plan. And I think the rest of that is all commercial and would stay there. So,
Thank you.
Luke's, absolutely right. The lands you see basically along Highway 19, there and to the east are planned and zoned for commercial, development right now. And in fact, Luke alluded to it where you see commercial by others, right where the arrow is right now. We've had concept discussions with a retail developer, and we're very hopeful that we'll have a proposal come in soon for a multi-tenant retail space on that land. The plans that are identified in Luke's plan for potential multifamily and mixed-use development are predominantly identified for commercial, residential, mixed use, or flex within the village's comprehensive plan, which means they can be a mix of commercial, residential, they could be all commercial, they could be all residential. And so he's right that we have signaled the opportunity for multiple family in that location. The reasons for it include proximity to the wetland water complex you see to the north and the appeal that may bring for people to live near. And on the flip side, the commercial market being a little bit tougher as you get off of Highway 19 into the area. And I think there's other opportunities and synergies to the opportunity for live, work, play within the Hooper Business Park development gets created by this type of use here.
Yeah, I think our goal or hope was we're not generally a commercial developer, but if we brought more housing in this space as the last pieces, then the gap would get bridged by someone that's better than us at doing that. A grocery store, more retail, things like that. And although it would be our fingerprints on it, but it would really create kind of this master development and connectivity.
Thank you.
And Mark is right. Obviously, it was identified in the comp plan that those were, potentially multifamily lots. But if that wasn't the case, I did identify those as off of 19, tucked in behind. The water feature of the stormwater maintenance is a nice kind of back setting where what we're seeing right now, of course, is just rectangles. When we evolve this, we'll really dive into kind of key features of the site and what we can lay out and kind of create some synergies with that nature piece.
Yeah, I guess we put it in the report too. Don't get too hung up on the site plan. It's more of a space study as much as anything.
Yeah, this is plan 3 of 37.
Anything else, Mike?
No, thank you.
Lisa?
Good evening. It looks like we've got upwards of like 440 units going in here. Do we have an existing traffic study? Do we need a traffic study? The parking here looks minimal. Do we have capacity for this type of development here?
Lisa, are you talking mostly about the stuff north of 19 or south of 19 or both?
All along that Peterson crossing there.
Okay, so yes, there has been a traffic study completed for the Hooper development and other lands that would develop north of 19. Roads like Peterson Crossing, intersections like the Williamsburg Way 19 intersection have been designed to accommodate that type of traffic volume.
Well, one thing, Lisa, that I'll do that probably maybe shouldn't do in the future is look at if this whole site was commercial and office or whatever use that would be, what the impact of that traffic would be versus the multifamily units. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but that's something I can have my team look into. But I know obviously when we just got the stoplight at 19 and then the stoplight at 51. But on the parking side of things, we will be coming in with no less than 1.5 to 1 ratio of parking, which every site I've developed, all the parking is controlled on those sites. So every one of those buildings would have 1-to-1 or at least close to it, 1-to-1 underground parking, and then a half stall of surface parking. So there would be no overflow parking from that site as it's currently sitting. I think that's about 400 units on there. which is, I would say right around 32 units an acre, which is a barely 32 to 35 units an acre.
The other piece that I'll just add on the traffic side of things, so you can kind of see, or wherever the screen is, ours has disappeared over here. An outline at the intersection of Peterson and Williamsburg Way that's sort of rounded. Excuse me. Our engineers have been planning for a potential roundabout being installed there too to help with traffic flow.
I was wondering about safety features there. So thank you. My other question is, I think when we were talking about the sports complex, we were also talking about,
Yes, sorry, Lisa, could you talk to the microphone?
sorry about that. I think when we were talking about the Defo Yards and the sports complex many meetings ago, I think we were talking also about some trail expansion, right? Jim, you're a pretty big fan of that. And so what does that look like with regards to this development and the north and the south, I guess, and additional safety features or crossings for pedestrians? Are we not that far yet?
I believe the stoplight system at 19 and Williamsburg Way has been outfitted with crosswalks and the ability to, you know, at least push a button, get a crosswalk and get across on a walk signal. Whether that ultimately needs to be enhanced with, additional markings is definitely an open question and something that should be investigated.
Okay.
Because as we have more, people and stuff to do on either side, you'll have more interest in walking. And, I personally would, love to encourage a walking trip over a car trip if you're just going a quarter mile or less. So that's definitely something that should be looked at further. Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alex, was there, try to remember this, is there a connection behind that site that you guys are looking for a future? Wasn't there a connection across the Hooper site? And I just remember talking about it when we were initially drawing these concepts, but yeah, right there, where we would want to connect into that, make that part of our development, and then run it down to the first phase into Forest
Yeah,
Yard.
there absolutely is. So you might remember when Hooper Corporation came to the commission last year, it all kind of blurs together for an expansion of their parking lot and their yard area that got paired with Hooper's offer and to build a path connection from Peterson Crossing to the east to connect with the existing path that's in Son of Liberty Drive that gets you to the Big Hill and Creek. And I think that's, I need to get out more, but I think that's either under construction is going to come next year. Then what Luke is referring to with his development provides the opportunity to continue that path across Peterson Crossing at that point. And for lack of a better term, through the backyards of these apartment mixed use developments and along that stormwater basin to link up with the path that already exists at either on Williamsburg Way there to cross. So we'll have a, another great addition to the system to get folks to the resource-based features in our area.
Mark, if you could remind me, that path goes down Williamson Way to, I'll say, Tolkien Creek. I don't know for sure if it's the 19.
Sorry, Williamsburg Way, and then here at Hanover Drive, there's a trail that goes through the park and then down into the Token Creek area.
I also believe there's an on-street path that goes the full length of Williamsburg Way.
That is correct.
And then it connects to Token Creek and the county, I lose track of this, but the county has ultimate plans to connect the Sun Prairie down to Madison via Token Creek Park.
Lisa, you still have the floor. Anything else?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? And I apologize, Shannon, I do not see you on screen. So if you have anything, please let us know.
I'm good at the moment. Thank you, though, Jim.
Thank you.
Jim, if I could, building on Lisa's questions about traffic and parking, that is definitely something we're continuing to look at south of 19. the, personally, I think with this parking lot that Luke is proposing, plus the next item on your agenda, the municipal lot, will be well covered on parking. But that being said, we will take another look at that when the sports complex or before the sports complex comes forward for final approval to make sure that we're well covered on that. A lot of it may also hinge on scheduling and make sure there's smart coordination between, you know, stuff going on at the Forest Yards, the rink, and stuff going on here that might attract more people. The traffic study, traffic will be looked at again. We'll be working with Veer Becker with our traffic friends at Kale Engineering likely to explore in particular whether the Monticello, the one-way in continuation makes sense in light of this proposal or not. And so that will be explored before this comes forward as well. As you know, that segment between 19 and Savannah Drive is just a one-way segment that gets you in fairly readily from Highway 19 if you're headed eastbound. And it may just be fine from a safety and a traffic movement standard to keep it like you see shown, but we will be looking at whether that alternatively would make sense to go away.
Sorry to add to that too, that is one potential concern I have is the, say, 2 driveways to the parking lot coming off of Monticello. I'm just worried that that northern driveway might be a bit quick off of the exit, but I'm assuming we'll also talk about that during the next site plan revision, so.
Definitely, that was something that we flagged as staff too, and you know, where we want people to cross if Monticello remains, and what do we do to prevent it from happening? I think of East Washington Avenue and the fence they have at East High School. If you're down to prevent kids from crossing at the wrong spot, we might have to think about something like that in this location if Monticello remains.
Yeah, one thought there was having that just right in only. We would set the building up as a like a drop off point, where if you're coming from that side, it's a drop off, and then you can exit obviously out back through Williamsburg Way. And it might relieve traffic where you have the drop off point, 2 kind of coming in points, and then 1 coming out point where the stoplight is. So that was some of the discussion with staff is, does it make sense to keep the access in, but then turn it more into a parking lot access as opposed to Monticello Drive being a true city street like it is now? There's some background going back to 2016 of how that access showed up and why it showed up. And we can get into the weeds of that as we bring this site plan forward, but it sounds like all the reasons that it's there now are no longer necessary or needed based on what the whole development has become with the stoplight at Williamsburg.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, concerns?
I think these images are in here to give a feel and flavor for the character that you're envisioning.
Yeah.
from 19.
Yep, yeah, those are renderings of a project I'm working on over at Verona. And it just kind of the color palette of natural tones, and it's ties into a little bit what Hooper's office building and how they designed that. And it has enough similarities to DeForest Yards where it feels connected, but it doesn't feel like we repeated the same thing across the road. So I thought kind of in looking the task of getting too far ahead of on a site plan level, said, oh, well, this one, actually, I like what we're doing in Verona. I think it kind of actually checks a bunch of the boxes that we want to do on this site. So it was a good first step rendering of some of the thought where we would go with some of the natural elements and massing.
Can I question you, Luke, on that? Are you thinking, so I'm seeing like the 3 or 4 story, which I was sort of picturing based on your site plan, and then you've got the 2-story.
Yeah, and I not trying to misrepresent, but yeah, the site plan is more of that 4-story product like we did at DeForest Yards. this rendering was just a good snapshot of showing kind of the materials. I ultimately, what it is in my head right now there as this develops is a 3 and 4 story building of the pitched roof. I'm kind of right now on a bit of a kind of a Nordic feel with the DeForest dynamic heritage, and then the northern part of DeForest Yards, and using some of those natural tongue and groove elements, maybe some vertical too. So a little bit of a mashup of what you're seeing there, by at least in my brain, and I don't want to get in the way of KBA and their what they do good at. But my direction will be taking that 2-story massing, and then, but it of course being a 3 or 4 story building. And if that, I don't know if I properly detailed that for you. But I'm kind of getting like this Nordic, Alps, Swiss kind of vibe with it, with kind of the natural tones set into the tree groves. That's kind of, and I thought this best represented it, although it's not a perfect example, but.
Very good, thank you.
The comment. That is stellar. I love it that you're doing the woods and that look based on the location this is gonna be in and taking into consideration Hooper's office building, which is not too shabby.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I actually have a really good representation of what I want to do, but it's somebody else's building in a different market. And I didn't want to just rip off their photo, because they are local enough in Milwaukee. They're like, wow, why are you over in DeForest? But they did a really nice job of it in a community not too far away. And no one, we all steal everybody's ideas. There's only so many stuff. But the next iteration of when we really get into this, it'll look closer to kind of this vision that I saw at another property. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And even theirs is more of a 2-3 story product. So I want to take that look and feel with some of those vertical elements, and it just interesting tie in with the heritage of DeForest and the Nordic piece, with it being the northern part of DeForest Yards. I still haven't landed on a really good name yet for it. Still working. Me and Claudia are still working AI on that, but that's kind of the feel that we're going for. And like you said, I think the benefits of this site are going back in stormwater, that trail connection. It's a really cool. I keep using the word tree grove for I think that's kind of what it is. That is the cool element of this piece. And I think, if we're successfully able to get through this development and see this come to fruition, what you'll be able to do is, if you're someone that likes the action, and you want to be in the moment, you can be down by the concert venue at DeForest Yards. If you're someone that wants a little more serenity and you want kind of you want to be close where you can go to that, but you want to get away, this would be a better fit for you. And so kind of create different spaces and feels among those different complexes.
It may be obvious, but all that land you see in woods and water is public land, village-owned land today. So it's available for passive recreational use.
Thank you. Anything else, Colleen?
I have one to build on one of your comments, and maybe the 3-4 story concept. And I'm going to try not to get us too far in the weeds, but just bear with me for a second. The proposal to the north, the proposal to the south is already in a plan unit development. So we'll continue with plan unit development zoning. The site has been identified for commercial use, including recreation uses, for 20-ish years already. The lands to the north, we have a couple of different zoning options within the ordinance. One of them is to create our umpteenth plan unit development district. And you sense my bias here already. And the other one is to utilize, a zoning district that we haven't utilized a lot, called the RMB, Residential Mixed Business District. And that district allows for basically what you're seeing here, a mixture of commercial and residential uses within a single unified district. Checking through the boxes, this project would fit within those zoning requirements, save for one. And the one is, if Luke feels he needs to go to 4 stories to make it work, the current RMB district, for apartments currently allows only 3 stories. If it was an office building, by the way, it could go to 60 feet, which is close to 5 stories. What I guess I would love the commission's opinion on is whether we can try to make a RMB district work with a small zoning text amendment to allow 4-story apartment buildings, or whether you would prefer and would like to see us go to plan unit development zoning for this project. Or if you have no, that's fine too.
I would state my opinion would be to do the modification, but
To go along with that also, rather than another PUD.
So what you might see then is a petition to rezone to RMB and a petition to tweak the RMB district to allow up to 4 stories.
Jean, you were gonna state your opinion?
Yeah, I was gonna agree with that. Does that seem cleaner to do it that way?
To us, it does. I mean, to revisit our PUD challenge is that each of these umpteen PUDs has its own zoning ordinance and regulations that we have to work with the developer to craft up front. That's hard enough, but then it has to also act as a functional zoning ordinance in perpetuity. And so we need to think about a lot of micro things, like what happens when they want to add on a building or construct a fence to block noise. We have to think about all that stuff up front. Well, we've already thought about all that stuff when we wrote the zoning ordinance for the Village of DeForest. So if you can just apply a standard zoning district, it's a lot easier to administer over time. And when you have so many of these PUDs, each one of them being different, it's, frankly, easy to lose track of them and lose track of all the rules, despite as, or as we try.
Yeah, I'd just add the impact on our staff on the post end of those approvals on the PUD side is much greater than our standard zoning districts for tracking, administering, all that.
I would support that, to do it with the RMB district and tweak that.
Lisa, sorry, Jean, but Lisa,
Does that make, if we do that, does that set a precedence for future projects? It might make sense along a highway, right? To go ahead and do something like that, in this particular project, but does it set a precedence where, it's going to impact potential future projects?
It would apply absolutely on any sites that are zoned RMB anywhere else, of which we do not have many, but we can certainly point those out. I would say, if I were to guess right now, there's probably 5 to 7 sites throughout the village that are in that zoning district today. Oh, and they're all developed, save for one. The one that's undeveloped is in along Peterson Crossing, near Ziggy Field, ball field.
I'll just add to, obviously this development has a long way to go in its process. So it's just helpful for us to get feedback and get a general sense. At this point, we're not asking you all to make any concrete decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think from the developer standpoint, my team behind me, they always would default to not having to ask for those variances because not every municipality has been as pro-development as you guys have been as of late. So when I first got the email, they're like, "Oh, PUD, absolutely. We don't want to have to get, where they can say no to you." But from my perspective, I'm open to kind of fitting that vision with the group. It's worth, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on it, but I did approach this as originally as a 2 and 3 story project. And then some of has all the 15 balls we're juggling along with the sports and the land price and all these different things. It pushed us to that 4-story product. That's a little bit, and it certainly fits. The reason I think I was initially leaning towards trying to go at 2 or 3 was differentiating from down south. But but it became, as of late, an integral piece of the financial, play with the overall, and I think that will come to more light as we kind of get further into this process over the next couple months with Bill Chang.
The other thing with, and I alluded to it earlier, the RMB district already right now, if you're not doing an apartment building, you can't, and instead you're doing a commercial building or an office building, you can already go 4 and maybe even 5 stories. So I don't know what the difference is between having a 4-story for people to live full time or a 4-story for people to be in an office. But it doesn't, to me, make a lot of logical sense. The scale of the buildings could be the same. Or are forced to be different right now. If you're an apartment, you can go this high. If you're an office building, you can go this high. And to me, it didn't make a lot of sense from a zoning standpoint. You absolutely got to park the site and make sure it works from a parking standpoint, got to meet all the other standards. No doubt, if you're going to go up another story, you're going to get more park fees. You know, there's pros and cons to going higher. Absolutely. And I think your question about, you know, is this appropriate everywhere where RMB zoning is a good one, and one that if we bring this forward to you like that, we'll show you where those are all zoned.
I guess to continue that, Mark, I just asked when you do the analysis, if there is like is it units per acre or anything in there? I don't remember that, but
There is.
that would be part of it.
Yeah, it's within the units, the maximum density of the RMB without any change to that. It's just the number of stories that doesn't work presently. And honestly, I don't know how you would get to the cap of units per acre that are currently allowed in the RMB district and still do 3-story buildings, because I think it's at 41 units per acre. It would be pretty hard to get to in a 3-story environment.
Yeah, typically those 3-story, you're in the 25 to 32 per acre on the 3-story.
Thank you, Mike.
Question, if we go with the RMD zoning, is it possible to keep it at 3 stories with an exception? 4 stories can be approved?
You could make it a conditional use to go to 4 or some other
Is that possible?
discretionary approval. It's possible for sure.
Just seems that might keep a little more control over it if there's concerns about putting 4 stories on everything.
Yeah, there's other things you can do, you know, add setback if there's 4 stories above a normal setback to kind of create a, you know, better sky plane sort of feel. So good thinking. You know, even short of going for a conditional use permit, just if you go higher, maybe you need a site that's greater than 2 acres or whatever, you pick a number. So smaller sites that are zoned RMB don't have that opportunity. So those are all, thank you. This has been a helpful discussion. I don't mean to close it off, but those are all good.
Thank you, but thank you, Mark, and it sounds like it'll be a discussion for a later meeting too. Anything more on this concept? Seeing none, I'll maybe before we leave this, I want to maybe put you a little bit on the spot, Luke, and wondering an update on your southern development as far as are any dates you want to share with the group? As far as I've heard that the ice arena is open for open skate, and I'm assuming other things will be following soon as
Like,
far
for a second there, I thought it was a trick question, Jim.
Oh, no.
I was like, no, yeah, yeah. Again, a little jumbles together because I was here in front of council, not you guys. So I guess I was like, wait a minute, did we talk about this? Because it came up, one of the questions like, oh, when's it open? And I was like, and Brandy looked at me like, oh, like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, it just so happened the day that I was here, they asked that question. We had one of our first open skates with the village. We had 4 or 5 village residents, kids that had the day off at school were actually skating, and I didn't know. And I was walking around the job site. I was like, go to the ice rink. I was like, who's skating here today? And I talked to Andrew Judry, who's, you know, on the mattress side of it with with Legacy 20. I was like, Andrew, who did we sell the ice to? He goes, oh, that was one of our Parks and Rec stays. Like, oh, awesome. And then I was here later that day. So we've got a temp occupancy permit for the first floor. And we're kind of finishing up like a white box version of the top half where the bar and kitchen and we're the weight room at the kind of mezzanine level is what we're working on right now. And then we're trying to beat the weather to get our outdoor arena poured. We are pouring concrete left and right to try to get that piece done. If everything goes good, we'll have that outdoor arena open mid-December. If Mother Nature doesn't agree, then it's more of a spring situation. But Aranda's, I met with Alonzo yesterday, and he. Oh, am I bleeding on you guys? Yeah, but oh, thanks, Brandy. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been the last week and a half has been interesting.
I don't want to clean up.
Wow.
more.
So Alonzo was actually helping us with our F&B layout because we're not restaurant professionals like he is, and he was targeted January, February opening for Aranda's. The office space that's also in Building H, the 91 unit, we're targeting a January, February date for that opening. Youngblood, which we are not part of, but we're watching go up rapidly, I think is set up for an early summer opening. As far as the apartments go, the 91 unit opened in February, and the first half of the 162 opened August, the first September.
Yeah, I'm moving October
Oh,
1st.
Yeah, October, September, October. I think this was Labor Day because Aaron Olson from Olson 2 was working on Labor Day, like with a shovel, watering plants. I was like, Aaron, just like 400 guys. He's like, well, someone's got to do it. But I have to remember that one. And then we're opening Saturday, the second half of that 162 unit. And we have started, I think it was in June or July, we started a 59 unit. I forget the names of the buildings, but that one's lot 10 maybe. So we'll have 253 units open in the next 3 days. And then the 59 unit will bring us to 312. That building will open in late spring, early summer of 2026. And we will have 247 units left on that site. Our amenity building is opening any day, the 9,000 square foot building with the pool and fitness and golf simulator. Is that the question you were asking?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Sounds like things are going very well and very fast speeds, so congrats.
Yeah, it's been good. Our sales team has done a wonderful job. We feel like we created a really unique development. But the sales team has done a really good job of getting people out there and seeing it and kind of showcasing it. The last couple months, as construction has started to become a little more real and grass has kind of come up, we've really had a lot of positive momentum on the leasing side. I know that the thing that always comes up, I show up here for more apartments and everyone goes, what's going on here? But we have had very strong leasing the last 3 months and are in a good position for that. Never fast enough for me, but the people from outside of Madison that I consult with say that it's going very well and better than they would expect. And so yeah, that's been really positive. And I think once we get the full interaction of the entertainment district, that'll be really it will be in a really good spot. So, which again, that was kind of the point of kind of these developments take so long, but getting to the Hooper site, kind of foreshadowing where we're going to be over the next 18 to 24 months, saying, hey, this is an opportunity to kind of really create the dynamic that, you know, we have this full district that has all this different, you know, livelihood in it.
Yep, again, thank you very much for all that you're doing, and I look forward to another project that looks like it's well on its way, at least in concept, so.
Jim?
Could you go away now, Luke, because my nose is starting to. Thank you.
Oh, I gotta stay here. I'm up next too.
I gotta feel sorry for him. Okay. Finish up or let him lay down or something.
That's why you don't get your kids signed up for hockey, right? Is that?
There's a lesson.
So, we're all good. I'm happy to be here and hang with. Listen, I was in Verona yesterday. They are not as, not, the city staff was great. Some of the neighborhoods are not as pro multifamily. That was a little more, not for me, but a little more contentious environment. So this is friendly faces here. You guys have seen what I've done. I had to go up there and tell them like, hey, I'm good at what I do. I do nice stuff. At least I have, you guys have seen it. So a lot easier here.
Well, thank you, Luke. I will move on to 6.1 so you can get home. Discussion and action on a proposed site plan for a public parking lot at 4131 Savannah Drive, serving DeForest Yards with Savannah Brooks Planned Unit Development, Village of DeForest, Wisconsin. And I'm sort of guessing that's Mark to lead it off.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief here. When DeForest Yards came forward, almost 2 years ago now, we anticipated the need for a parking, overflow parking during bigger events. The final development plan for DeForest Yards authorized the use of a 2.1 acre site immediately to the east of the Fountainhead Homes group living facility, and between that and the stormwater basin that's there for that overflow parking. Since that time, and there's provisions that involve the village and Luke helping construct it. And the current concept is after construction, it would be a municipally owned parking lot. The initial thought was, hey, maybe it just stays grass with a material underneath it to prevent it from getting all mudded up when people did use it. With the emergence of this second project to the north, in particular, the rec center that was just discussed, the notion now is to pave it as a paved parking lot to serve everything that's going on in DeForest Yards, and to be more than just an overflow parking lot, to be more regularly used. So the village and Luke's team have collaborated on the site plan that's before you tonight to construct a 216 stall parking lot in that 2 acres. That parking lot would have access from both the north and south. Do we have the site plan, Brandy? The parking lot would have access from both the north and south from Savannah Drive and Williamsburg Way. We are anticipating pedestrian movement in all directions from it, both to the path that and sidewalk system on Williamsburg Way, and eventually and to the new rec center that would be to the right side or north side of the screen on the other side of Savannah Drive from what you see today. So, we may end up having something like a mid-block walkway with a pedestrian signal, other things to make sure that people could get safely across in this area. Concern also about impacts on surrounding properties. The lighting, there will be lighting within the parking lot. The light levels are intended to be low, and what I'll say more like a church and less like a shopping center in terms of intensity and impact on the surrounding area. In addition, the parking lot is proposed to be shifted to be at least 25 feet from the group facility lot. And the couple plans forward is the landscape plan that will show an extensive kind of planting scheme within this area. The recommendations for this are in your packet. Staff recommending approval of this plan according to the plan set that's in the packet, and some minor comments from the village engineer that are also in your packet. I'll be prepared to answer any questions that you have on the proposal.
Thank you, Mark. Is there anybody comments, questions? Is there Lisa?
Mark, I have questions about the setback from the residential homes on the western side of that parking lot. And if we have any feedback from, yeah, so just south of Savannah Drive there, between the Savannah Drive and Williamsburg Way, just to that west side, it looks like there, it really abuts up to that. Yeah, exactly, right, just in there. Do we have any kind of separation or easement? And also, do we have
Good.
feedback from those homeowners that could be impacted?
We have not heard anything from any surrounding owners. The, the distance from between the parking lot and that, the nearest building, I'm gonna estimate it at about 50 feet, 50 feet. The nearest, units, of the group home are the ones that you see with the, the rectangularly shaped things on your screen right now. We worked to try to concentrate landscaping around those areas to help buffer them and to make sure that there were no parking lot lights along that side either. So the lights are interior, there's to the site. There's a lighting plan that suggests it. So yeah, there was definitely effort to try to buffer them, to separate it from a fair distance and to kind of focus landscaping in the between areas where the group home is closest to the parking lot.
Did they receive any notification of this type of project going in their backyard at all?
There was no notification provided to the next door neighbor owner. This is a site plan approval.
Yeah.
With site plans, we don't typically notify neighboring properties.
Just to clarify too, you mentioned the homeowners to the west, that's actually an assisted living facility, the homeowner to the east of that facility.
Are all those buildings part of that same assisted living facility?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a group facility, group
Okay.
home
I'm
facility.
not sure if they were all part of that. Okay.
Yeah,
So the enhanced landscaping and the subdued lighting should help with their peaceful
Experience.
enjoyment of the property.
right. They also have some landscaping on their site, so that was kept in mind as well. So you're not going to see it on the landscape plan, but they do have some trees and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah, the nearest single family residences are several hundred feet away and separated by a landscaped a stormwater basin area from this site.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Anybody else? Colleen?
I would make a motion to approve.
Motion by Colleen, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Any further discussion? Shannon, can I just ask if you have anything? 'Cause I can't see you.
She doesn't.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I do have two things I wanted to bring up. One thing is I mentioned about a potential grading just to have a couple more flat spots. Flat spots in quotes. I just figured because there's gonna likely be some extra dirt there to have more utilization of the more or less a stormwater basin. And the other thing that I mentioned previously to Mark is if there was a need to have gates on one or both of the entrances, and I don't know if you had time to talk to anybody.
I did.
Thank you, Mark.
So, so the idea, yeah, if you've had kids at events in bigger spaces, you often have sort of temporary tent cities that kind of emerge for the teams or whatever to hang out at or their parents. So the question is, would this be an appropriate spot to provide some off parking lot opportunity for that? We did talk about that among staff, feel that within the spaces that are around the parking lot, that there is enough flat-ish areas, both north and south of the basin, especially on the east side and particularly on the south side to accommodate that. You see the lines represent grades. Obviously there's some steeper slopes that lead down to the basin, but to the north and south of the basin, the topography is very gradual. So those would be spaces for that and, maybe appropriate for, those temporary pop-ups or, start finish of a 5K run or whatever you want think about for that. Second issue, we did pose the issue of gates, and, public, services staff are probably concerned about installing gates from a maintenance standpoint at this point in time. So, would prefer not to. That being said, if, as part of your site plan approval, you wanted to authorize gates if Public Works was concerned about cut throughs or wanted to control access to one driveway, I don't know, maybe to charge $3 for parking for a special event or whatever, they could be added later. We do have, if you zoom out and, you see Williamsburg Way on the east side, so, and then we have Monticello on the west side, so the incentive for cut through in this location is not great because we have faster alternative routes within a block in either direction. So staff wasn't terribly concerned that would be a problem.
But if there was, say, a thought of adding a gate in the future, does that need to be discussed now as a potential, or is that can just be done through the public services or something?
I don't think it would hurt as part of your motion to, authorize a gate at one or both entrances if public services thought it was necessary or advisable. That way it would be clear that it was discussed here. The commission thought it was a fine idea without having to come back for some sort of amendment to a site plan.
Okay. Colleen, I think you were the motioner.
I will amend my motion to include approval and public services opinion on whether gates are necessary. Is that close enough?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Good with that, Rachel? Thank you. Lisa, can you continue the
Yeah.
discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. In lieu of gates, if that is a concern for public safety and maintenance, potential maintenance issues, could we potentially consider signage, no through traffic, something of that nature? We've seen that in other places as well. I don't know if we need to amend Colleen's.
That's a good point, Lisa. I think that sort of regulatory signage is beneath you, for lack of a better term. And so I think the village, will sign the, parking lot as it sees fit to kind of regulate use. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I could definitely see this lot being used by commuters as well. So there may need to be limitations on long-term.
Sure.
So other things like that could crop up. And so I think that fits in your same category of concern.
Long-term parking, no through traffic, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know if you necessarily need to
Amend it.
condition on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So I think we had a motion and I feel like the discussion is done. Yep. So do we need clarification on the motion? If not, I will call everybody. Everybody, please signify by saying aye if you're in favor of the motion.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Thank you, Luke.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you a few more times.
Thank you. So item 7.1 is Chair's Report. So the October 7th meeting of the regular village board, we talked about a number of different things. One of the longest conversations of that night was talking about the filling of the vacancy of the village trustee. So that will be happening on Thursday. So if you're curious, please listen in or come on down. We also talked about I have it down as a resolution for building inspection services, and I think that was approved and probably included in our budget. So we look forward to more, I guess, inspection services. There was the River Road MF LLC, which was, what do you call it, like pretty much across the street from the athletic complex. There was the public path, there was I think that was an agreement or something, but also the CSM on that. There was I'll say the Palms CSM that was discussed for the rezoning. Thing that I'm personally excited about, the Yahara River Stream Bank improvements. The lowest qualified bid was selected, and so that project will be moving forward. I think it was next spring. So that will be, again, exciting for the river. And there was also some discussion with Bolus Investments, which is the Conservancy Place, about different things with that development. That is all I had for the October 7th. I say I was excited that I was not at the last village board meeting, so I might lean on Colleen a little bit because I was at my daughter's wedding a couple days previous. My memory of that meeting, and Colleen, please fill me in if I am incorrect, or anybody. I think there was a review of Bill Chang. Anything else? Probably there was additional discussion about filling the trustee. I think that got extended to the full.
Yes, we did amend, that, we had originally made a bad decision. That, whoever sits in the vacant trustee chair's term would only go until April of 26. That has been amended to go through the end of the term, which is April of 27. And that's because, well, first of all, it's not very efficient for whoever takes that seat. And secondly, it just created all kinds of confusion when it was gonna come to the April elections. Yeah, I wish I could remember what else we talked about.
A lot happening, and if you're,
I don't have that note, I have separate notebooks, I don't have that here right now.
oh, that is fine. As far as chair's report, I do again want to thank Mike and welcome, is it Caitlin or Catlin or Caitlin? So,
Caitlin.
thank you, Caitlin. I will maybe start. So I'm Jim Simpson and I work for the DOT or have for a number of years, 12 years, and I have been on the planning and zoning now for 22 or 23 years, so 23. Well, I'm trying to get to the silver anniversary. We'll see if I make it. But I know a little bit about your background, so I'll hint on that I've helped with on some CARPC things with the FUDA and the different committees throughout my course of being here. But now on the village board for a number of years too. I think it's 3 or 4, but that's about it. Oh, I should also say, I mentioned a lot about the river because I'm also on the Friends of the Yahara River Headwaters and very interested in the river quality too. Anyone else want to go? We're looking at tenure or something, or you maybe next?
I'll be quick. Jean Manchesky. I don't even know how long I've been on P and Z, but I'm also on the CDA and ETZ. So. Big shears.
Name is Mike Brogy. I've been on here 2 years-ish, something like that. I'm a retired engineer.
Hi again, Caitlin. Colleen Little, I'm a trustee on the village board, retired law enforcement and coroner's office.
And I'm Doug Worsba. I've been on P and Z for about 2 years. I'm also on CDA and small business owner in Madison
And ETZs.
and ETZs.
Please, Stride. my third year here on P and Z, and I am 30-year tenured insurance industry professional. Trade.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit too?
I'm Caitlin Shanahan. I'm a community planner for the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission based in downtown Madison. I've been a professional planner for about 10 years. I have not participated in a village committee yet. And I've also lived in DeForest for about 10 years. Yeah, and I haven't done, most of my career has been either at state level or regional, did a little bit of county planning and zoning, but I haven't done a lot of kind of day-to-day planning and zoning work. Those kind of on the ground decisions, implementing the plans and ordinances. So I'm excited to kind of expand my experience with that.
Thank you. And Shannon, could you introduce yourself too?
Yep, I'm Shannon Kellogg. I have been on P and Z for I think 4 years now. I'm newer to DeForest. I apologize that I'm not there. I have a sinus and cough issue that I decided not to bring to you. So keep it away, but welcome.
Thank you all. Another thing I do want to mention as far as my tenure here, so it's hard to look at the TV and maybe I should look at the camera. Yeah, it's pretty distracting, but I've been the chair of this committee now for whatever the 3 or 4 years that I've been on the village board. And obviously I was here long before that as a member. But I like to think that I do a good job, but I know that I don't. Well, I say that because I've been part of other committees, and one thing that I do want to make as a point is I want to get to say know you a lot better. I know a number of you even before you're on the committees and stuff, but I hope to get say more, I'll say friendly banter or whatever, get maybe meet you out for a drink or a lunch and things. So I hope to reach out to you guys over the next few months because I think that's important for say the village board and even the planning and zoning just to be more comfortable with each other as we move forward because I think we're going to have a lot more meetings that are busier than what we had tonight. I know I try to keep the meetings to say 2 hours and here we've had an hour tonight with very little on the agenda. So it's nice to have time that we can actually get to talk, but usually when the meetings are full, there's not a whole lot of time to talk. So I want to make sure we keep the personal rapport going too, even when the meetings are full and maybe a bit more controversial. So we've had controversy in the past and I think there's more to come too. So thank you all. And if there's ever any time you feel like you want to reach out, any questions for me or any critiques of how I run the meetings, please let me know. And I also want to maybe throw some of the staff under the bus because if there's ever questions, I know they are very helpful. So please reach out to them too. And I know it does help a lot if you can answer questions, say with staff, or at least like I did tonight with Mark mentioning about the gate. So he had time or a day or two to actually follow up with other people so the meetings can run faster. Anything else from anybody? Okay, well, thank you for divulging in that conversation and staff report is 7.2. Anything? I think Alex, you had something?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll just echo what you were just saying there. Absolutely. For everybody, use staff as a resource for questions. That's kind of why we're here, even outside of these meetings. So thank you for pointing that out. The update that I have, so you should have all received an email from Administrator Bill Chang about the proposed QTS data center that's on our western border in the town of Vienna. A lot of this has kind of hit the media of late. Discussions about the potential for that development to annex into the village. I think as Administrator Chang mentioned in the email, we haven't received the formal petition for annexation yet. They've obviously had those conversations from our side on the staff perspective. We want to be prepared if that does happen. So we're working on a process. Obviously, we have our standard process with any approval, and we're going to stick to that. But we're also working on a process where we can get you all as one of the reviewing entities in our village board the information that you need to make informed decisions. And so part of that is going to look like us going out and connecting with subject matter experts to bring on board here too. And, you know, from my perspective, also one of the concerns that I have is this, if this comes into the village or goes through our approval process, we have limited capacity currently as staff. And as you see tonight, we've got projects that are coming in addition to this, which we still have to stay on top of. So part of the looking at subject matter experts is technical expertise on these types of developments. Obviously, we don't have that in-house. So we want to make sure that we're getting accurate information and can verify what we're being told, again, to give you guys what you need to make decisions. But also from a capacity standpoint, we want to look at potentially having somebody enhance what we've currently got so that we can still focus on the things that are coming in. We can't lose sight of that either, right? We can't put the entire village on hold. So with that being said, again, going back to your point, Jim, if you do have questions about this or are hearing things, obviously we're getting emails from a number of folks inside and outside the communities. We're tracking comments, making sure that we're understanding what everybody's concerns are, and we're going to be documenting those. But reach out if you have questions or anything like that to myself, Administrator Chang, and we'll hopefully get you the answers to the degree that we can. But if we don't have those, we'll figure out a way to get them. So.
Thank you, Alex. I guess you bring up something, maybe it's a bit off topic, but it's not. But I do want to mention too that our meeting, I'll say it's for you, Caitlin, but it's really for all of us. Our meetings run generally pretty loose, but I just know that we are to follow Robert's Rules of Orders. There is some leeway with that because we're a small committee, but I just want to caution everybody, if it becomes a night where it looks like it's going to be long and we do have a lot of people here, we probably will be a lot stricter with following Robert's Rules of Orders. And I know at least on the village board, we have like the 3 and 5 minute rules, and those do apply to us too. We don't always follow them, but I think we've been generally pretty good at following them, at least with the public hearings. So we will be sticking with that if need be, or more than likely.
Can I
Colleen,
make a co-
yeah.
Yeah, 3 minute. Based on the computer clock is what we've been doing at the village board. What is the 5 minute?
I think one is public appearances and one is a public hearing.
The hearing's a different set.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got you there. But as far as addressing the committee itself, 3 minutes is pretty standard everywhere.
Alex, anything else?
Alex, I was curious what you thought that might look like moving forward for that P and Z transparency, bringing in those SMEs. Do you foresee additional meetings with this group, this commission, or making them more public? What might that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think, you know, obviously we've got our normal process in place, and if this proposal does annex in, there will be a substantial public involvement to that process. There's a number of different entitlements that would have to happen, which would all involve, many of them will involve public hearings, both this commission and the village board potentially as well. So even in the, I would say the standard process, there are built-in opportunities for that. again, it's sort of speaking in hypotheticals at this point because we don't have a submission. But I think we can comfortably anticipate that there would be outside of that formal regulatory process, some additional public information meetings. I think that would be an important.
Yeah.
I would even add to, I don't know how many people are aware, but we used to have the cow or the committee of the holes ahead of the planning and head of the village board. And now they're called work sessions. So even long before this was ever a conversation about what Alex brought up, but those work sessions could be a spot that we'd have more discussion about something that is, say, a farther reach public concern. Okay. Anything else from staff? Or I'll move on to site plan approvals. Yeah, Brandy. Okay. Site plan approvals? CSMs?
We did have, CSM was recorded for the, CDA redevelopment up on the
Congratulations.
corner, so that's been officially recorded. Looks very pretty on the map now. And then we also, you guys had approved the CSM for that South Street property, where those property owners were, kind of divvying up the lots. And that one's gone through and that has been recorded as well.
Good deal. So item 7.5, development process and enforcement suggestions. This is generally the time if you've heard, say, from any public, or if you have ideas yourself, you can bring it up in front of the committee.
Yeah, so Mike had mentioned to me earlier, he just noticed something at one of our development sites. And just had some questions about it. And so this could be the item where you could bring, things that you might notice. If there's not erosion control fence, or he had some concerns about some piping in the stormwater pond, or, or code enforcement type of things or what have you, you could certainly bring those up here, but you can always feel free to email us too, or give us a call side of the meeting.
So the specific instance Brandy's talking about is the Fred development. And from River Road, and what's the road but turns into the driveway that? Yeah, yeah. I think that's-
Terrapin or Daily Road,
Existing road.
No, it's existing. Yeah. Forever.
Daily Road, yeah.
So from that corner and you're looking at the property. I'm going back like a week now, but there's 2 or 3 monster pipes that
Mhm.
elevated in this detention basin. And the water, if there's that kind of a flow coming out of there, I think River Road and Daily Road are gone. It just looks very, very strange to me to look at it.
And that's something that I can look into and I can respond to you with, what that is. I know we do have Veerbeckers out on site pretty much daily, which is the engineer that, goes through the civil plans and things like that. So they're monitoring that type of stuff. And it could just be, it could be the pipe that comes in that overflow goes out some other pipes, into different areas. I'd have to get my eyeballs on it to really see, what that is, but
It just looks very strange from that perspective.
right, yeah.
I'll just offer to you that all those public improvements have to be accepted by our engineering teams too, so they'll go out and verify. I'm sure it's a large development and I imagine it's still probably heavily under construction.
Yeah, so that could change.
I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for it. It just looks really strange. They're big pipes. Oh, they're maybe 24-inch pipe or something.
No, it's good if you guys recognize that kind of stuff, though. It's very good to get that feedback or whatever, and so that way we can at least know and have it in the back of our minds when we're out at the sites and stuff like that. So thank you. I
Thank
will
you.
follow up with you on what I find out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
gonna try to pack it tonight.
Okay, so our next meeting's November 10th. And can you remind me, we still have one more meeting for the year, is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So under the staff report, that's what I was going to talk about. And
Okay.
I thought, well, it'd be more appropriate under here. So the next meeting is November 10th, which is a Monday. And that will be via Zoom only. So keep that in mind. When Rachel or I send out the packets and reminders, we'll make sure to bold and red and make that really big. So that way you guys don't get in your cars and drive down here. The following meeting was also rescheduled to December 8th. And at this time, that is scheduled as a Zoom meeting only as well. So mark your calendars. And then from there, we go back in January to our regularly scheduled fourth Tuesday of the month after the holidays.
The fourth Tuesday and the second Monday, we try to hold for an alternative.
Yes, that is correct. The second Monday is held for an alternative. We could potentially get some submissions and we would reach out to make sure that we had quorum if we needed to do something like that, but.
Okay. Thank you. So item number 8. I think I heard something from you, Colleen.
Oh. Anything? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Colleen, seconded by Shannon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
We are adjourned at 7:22. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Have a good night. Get better, Shannon.
Thank you.